is May 14th. To this week's perasha is Parashat Bemidbar. We've spent the last, year going through these talks. It's around this time where I started doing this class, and we finished one whole season of these conversations. Um, and what you'll find is that every week you're tuning into a Parsha class, you're listening to any class. It's a unique opportunity to kind of reflect weekly on the values that define who we want to be, what we're about, what makes us us. So the Parsha begins with this um, concept of counting. Now, we're in the fourth book of the five books of Moses. Sefer Bemidbar is also known as Sefer HaPikudim, the book of numbers. God commands us to take a census. The Jewish people are taken out of the land of Egypt, and there was a census that took place there. And the question is, why is there another census being taken right now? The Hebrew term for census taking is su'u et rosh, which literally means lift up the head. Through this counting, God reminds us how precious each individual is to him, that we're all part of a master plan. And because of that, each one of us counts. This is a very deep idea that each one of us has a special power that only that individual can fulfill. That awareness lends meaning to our lives, and it gives us what we call tachlis or tachlit, God-given purpose, a reason why we need to lift up our heads and confront life challenges with strength and dignity. There's no question that if you're watching the news, and it's heartbreaking what's happening in Israel right now between Jews and Palestinians and Jews. It's horrible. There should not be a world where children are listening to the sounds of rockets and sirens and people beating each other and fighting. It's something none of us should be proud of, no matter what the circumstance or no matter who's right or who started. We never want to get ourselves to this particular point. But what's interesting is that what often kind of creates these types of issues is our identity. So at the beginning of the Parsha, the Torah mentions that starting from the second year of the Exodus from Egypt, when the Jewish people traveled, they were to be arranged in a very specific formation. The 12 tribes were to be divided into 4 groups of 3, with each tribe stationed at a very, very specific location: north, south, east, or west. And each tribe carrying its own flag that identified that particular group. So one may ask, why didn't the tribes travel in this formation when they left Egypt? What is a flag? A flag symbolizes the nationality of each group. Each group had its own flag from the time the people left Egypt. So they could have easily have splintered the nation. And the truth is, history is filled with examples of people going to battle under a banner or their national flag. Therefore, our tribal flags were given to us only after we constructed the tabernacle that stood in the center of the camp. That is when we were given our unique flag. That is when we were told that we're part of something bigger. The tabernacle was the symbol of our love, our commitment to God and his Torah. And that tabernacle unified us and molded us into one nation. Once we were unified in our service to God, our individual flags no longer were a source of conflict, but rather, if anything, they galvanized us to forge us into one unit. This not only pertains to our ancient past of our Jews encamping in the desert, but it speaks to us in every single generation. In families where parents are strong, in families where parents are loving role models, sibling rivalry is neutralized. When the children are unified in their commitment to their mother and to their father, there is no more issues. Similarly, when Jews who truly love God and his people They will subdue their individual uh, desires and wants, predilections for the sake of the greater good of God and his people and the world. Therefore, while every one of the 12 tribes had a unique mission, for the sake of God, they all unified around the tabernacle. They carried their flags and fulfilled their unique role as one nation. In our contemporary world, in which broken homes are unfortunately so prevalent and our people are so fragmented, we would do very well to remember this lesson, especially during these times. These are the times when we're broken and fragmented, when our people are going to war, when the world is running out of control. We need to remember that ultimately we are one with one mission. We have this deep rooted responsibility to love each other, to care for each other, and provide for each other, to think beyond ourselves, to put away our personal ambition for a moment and think about the greater good of the world that we live in. Now, it's interesting. God created all of us with eyes, with noses, with ears. There are no people who look exactly alike. Similarly, there are no two souls that are exactly alike. Every individual is custom made by God. And every individual has a unique purpose that only he or she can fulfill. Therefore, that person has to carry his own flag. He has to know his or her own identity. He has to know and fulfill his and her own task. King David praises God who counts the billions of stars and calls each and every one of them by name. Our names are not merely names. The names that we have, they define us. They imbue us with this sense of our past. It charges us with a purpose, and it gives us a legacy to impart to ourselves and to the next generation. Now, let's consider for a moment, since God is aware of each and every star and calls each one by name, his most certainly aware of, he's certainly aware of each one of us. He also calls us by our names. He hears and knows the thoughts of our innermost hearts. He understands our hopes and our aspirations. Um, if if we're never to despair, if we're never to have those moments, God, our heavenly Father, is guiding our lives. There is no reason to ever have any despair. He is always there for us. There's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be concerned. Do we put on our best foot forward? Should we be nervous about what's happening? Yeah, of course we should be nervous, but never lose faith, never lose hope. Don't abandon the intellectual principles that everything in the world happens for a reason. We need to bring this idea into our daily lives. Remember that when we study the Torah, we study the Holy Book, we not only hear his voice, we discover our flag and our own unique identity. Um, Now, let us consider some further ideas regarding this counting. So we said that the census itself comes from the word se'u et rosh, literally means, again, lifting up the head. When something is precious to us, what do? We count it. The very fact that God wanted us to be counted testifies to that love, that deep love that he has for each one of us. And that awareness, that uplifting idea that God is constantly thinking of you, that he constantly wants you to be happy, that he constantly wants to give and provide for you. This is the world that you and I are living in. The first time that God mentions the number of the Jewish people was when we departed from Egypt. And that was a powerfully awesome, uplifting, life-altering experience because it demonstrated our miraculous growth. We're 70 people that descended down to Egypt, one family, okay? And these 70 individuals became millions strong. It's a phenomenal growth that could only be explained through miraculous means. God's loving intervention is how we were able to accomplish these things. We were once counted again after the sin of the golden calf, when we felt somewhat despondent and worthless. at the memory of the this horrible act that always will always leave a stain on us. Count them, it says, and lift their heads. God commands Moses. And this time we're counted through the half shekel. We're commanded to contribute to the half shekel was then given to the tabernacle, to the Mishkan. The knowledge that God did not reject us, that we still counted, that we still had a share in the creation of the tabernacle, gave us purpose. Our half a shekel that we contributed, this small amount of money reminded us that we are all halves of a greater mosaic of God's plan, that there's so much more. I am half of a greater whole. In our Pasha, the counting took place after the tabernacle was completed. The counting was done in accordance with the families, the tribes, the names, and so on and so forth. There are many ways to understand this. One explanation is that a person might think that since the tabernacle, the Mishkan, was complete, individual gifts, individual contributions of the half shekel were no longer critical. You might think that the service would go on, regardless of the new contributions to the world that they were living in, or the lack of them. The Torah came to remind us, however, that our task is never over. No matter what we do, no matter where we go, no matter where we are able to, no matter where we find ourselves, we're always remembering the idea that each of us has this unique mission, this unique opportunity to do amazing, great things. So you have a situation here where my daughter is completely distracting me. I apologize for a moment. Okay, she's leaving now. Okay, so let's get back to where I was. The census was an opportunity to remind ourselves that each of us has our own unique individuality, our own unique identities, tethered to this much bigger, greater picture of our nation. That I am not alone in my mission, that all of us together are able to accomplish our unique goal by first building ourselves up and then lifting up the people around me. The tribes, the Sephardic, Ashkenazi, the Israeli, the Russian, it doesn't matter to me, where, but it's all part and parcel of this idea that the half a shekel that we used for the census was there to remind us that I am chetzi shekel. I am half. I'm not a whole. So we recognize that everyone has their own strengths and ideals, but we also have to bear in mind that God gave him these gifts. And these gifts, the families, the things that we have, the community that we're born into, they're all there to help us accomplish our unique mission that is inherent in our name. Okay, that's what we're here to do. We were counted again because of the half shekel was a reminder, my friends, that we are again part of a greater whole. The things that we do have, the little that we do have, is a gift from God. The people that we meet in our stratosphere, the people that come into our Dalet Amot, are there because they're part of our mission. You don't meet people accidentally. There's 7 billion people on planet Earth. It's not an accident that these are the people you're rubbing elbows with. Okay, it's for a reason. Pashat Bemidbar always is read right before Shavuot. It's the day which commemorates the day that God gave us the Torah, and that that in itself is instructive. Midbar can be defined as a wilderness, a desert. The word Bemidbar means in the wilderness. It teaches us that if we want the Torah that we learn to impact us, if you want the Torah that we learn to elevate us, we have to make ourselves like a desert. Even as the desert is barren, it's empty, there's nothing there but sand dunes, and dust. We have to divest ourselves from the preconceived notions and follow the Torah to reshape us. Even as in the desert, there are no diversions. We can't allow anything to distract us from the Torah study. I can't tell you how many times I have these couples that I speak with. It's wedding season right now. People are getting married, and I have so many couples that are, Bezrat Hashem, are going to start this beautiful journey of starting a family. Now, I spend about an hour and a half to 2 just undoing the West's idea of what relationships are, just trying to give them a a sense of, Jewish values to ground them as to how you build a relationship, because we've been so uh, brainwashed by the cultural world that we live in. So just like Bemidbar is in the desert, we have to go ahead and strip ourselves away from the environment that built us up. I'm not saying we ignore all the things that the West has given us, but we are meant to question it, take the best parts of it, and bring it with us in our journey and leave the worst parts behind. How do we do that? We look into where we come from. We look into our values. We look into the system of the Torah that has given us the clarity to survive through the most challenging history of mankind has ever seen. We've come back and rebuilt a country. We've built an army. We've built up communities and schools, education, and thousands of books we're writing a year. We're doing what we can, but all of that comes from this deep rooted idea that I'm part of something bigger than myself. I'm not just Reuven who's teaching a class here and there. I am part of each of your lives, and I have to do everything in my power to help each of you achieve whatever greatness you have to achieve. And we're meant to do this for everyone. So the backdrop for the giving of the Torah is super significant as well. Where was the Torah given? It was given at Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is the smallest mountain, a lowly mountain. Now, if you were writing the script for the movie of the Ten Commandments, you would have picked the most, like, Mount Everest, as to where God would come down and declare his laws. You'd find the tallest, most majestic of mountains. But regardless, God chooses Mount Sinai for his revelation, teaching us that a prerequisite for Torah, for the study of Torah, is anivut, humility. At Mount Sinai, the people saw flames and clouds were dripping water. Flames symbolized a fiery passion, while the clouds dripping water were symbolic of clarity. These pasukim, the verses, teach us that if we want Torah to enter into our hearts, we have to study it. We have to transmit it with a fiery passion. We got to tackle our studies with discipline. We got to stay with them until we have clarity. All of this is a reminder that Torah study cannot be undertaken casually. It is our very life. It is the life force of us. It's why we are still here. It's how we have been able to overcome the challenges that we face, right? But we got to take it with seriousness. We got to give it the seriousness that it deserves. We got to respect it and give it the respect that it deserves. Shavuot is on Sunday night. It's the holiday that is least celebrated by Jews in America. Why? Why? It's interesting. Like, why would you celebrate Shavuot? The holidays that we celebrate are Yom Kippur. The holidays we celebrate is Pesach, Hanukkah, and that's it. No one's celebrating Purim, and the secular Jews don't celebrate Purim. It's changing now a little bit, but certainly they don't celebrate Shavuot. Shavuot is the day where we celebrate, not the day that just God gave us the Torah. It's the day that we celebrate our mission, the fact that we discovered what we're here to accomplish. We brought meaning to life. This world can be a meaningless existence without the idea that we're tethered to this divine purpose. But when we have it on Shavuot, what we're really celebrating is the idea that we have the ability of overcoming the circumstances that we find ourselves in, the ability of bringing kedusha into this world, the ability of bringing ahava, of love, of peace, of shalom. But that only happens when we recognize I'm just a half a shekel. I'm just a part of the solution. When I recognize that you have the other half of the puzzle, together we can bring Mashiach. Together we can bring the world into a utopian place where we don't know death anymore. We don't know sickness. We don't know, of God forbid, of the horrors of a mother losing a child, a father bearing a son. These are horrible, horrible things. It's painful. I don't want to live in that kind of a world. But I can't make it better until I'm willing to take responsibility for myself. I can't take it better if I'm not willing to take responsibility for the people around me in my orbit. May God bless you with the clarity, the recognition that He loves you, that you are here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. Never give up. He's not giving up on you. Shabbat Shalom. Have a Erev Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom Mevarach. Looking forward to seeing you Bezrat Hashem after Shavuot. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.